welcome everyone. As you have seen on the loading screen, or the starting screen rather, we have a new series on the channel. It's going to be the Game of Thrones Winter's Coming series. And yeah, basically Game of Thrones Winter's Coming is a strategy game created by Yuzo Games. They have added several elements from the original Game of Thrones series and also have some of their own custom things inside that will hopefully make for an enjoyment and great content. I will leave a link in the description for this game. I will also leave a link for the Discord group for this game. And all the music that's used in this video as well is not created by this game, or has nothing to do with this game. It's basically a great YouTuber that allows me to use his music, and I will also put a link to his channel in the description as well, so for people that are interested to either hear the music or use the music for their own content. So let's get straight into it. As I said before, the game is a strategy game and there are several elements to it. You can see that we have resources at the top. There are also blue diamonds. There are several stuff like events that can be seen here, major events. Currently we have Alliance Mobilization going on and Westerosi Navigator. There's also the Game of Thrones GTA Arcade, which is their own app for this game. There's a web browser which I'm using currently on Chrome, and there's also the Steam version, and all three of them are connected, so you're all playing the same game. So it's a little bit of also cross-platform in that sense. Can you see here? There's a mysterious chest that gives like small rewards from time to time. It has a different timer. Sometimes it's like 1 minute, 5 minutes, and other times it's like an entire hour. And once you have taken it 20 times, the 20th time it will give 5 times the rewards. But yeah, let's look at what this game has to offer. There's some parts where you have to manage your own city. You can pick whatever options you have in terms for resources, for strategic buildings such as hospitals, army tents, or in general gold producing buildings. And each of them give their own little buffs, as can be seen here in a moment. As you upgrade them, you can see the hospital capacity increases in the hospitals, and you also end up getting total health at level 25, and that's going to be important later on. You have basically a main lord that you're using, and this main lord has different kinds of attributes to him. There's also equipment and a talent system, as well as a details panel that shows like the different kinds of stats that you have, and everything of this will be like going much more in depth in future videos and so on, because I plan to make guides for how you manage your city and tips and tricks for events, general war stuff, maybe for the city in general. There's also event breakdowns, because we have seasonal events, we have daily events and so on. Currently we have the Alliance Conquest for the top 16 teams that are in each league, and in my alliance we have qualified for the A-League playoffs and sadly lost our first game, but we are still in the losers bracket trying to see if we can advance further for other rewards. And there's something called Siege of Winterfell, which is currently coming back in around 36 days. We had a small testing season for it last month, I believe, and it was quite funny and interesting, so definitely hoping they will polish it up and make it even better. Army of the Dead is also something that comes from time to time, which is currently running. Usually it has like two matches per season, and the matches are usually set at the end of the week or weekend, so most people can make it. Champion City Siege is for the really big guys. It's a one-day event basically for all the kingdoms that are currently in the game, and it basically works in the same way that a lot of people gather there and fight it out. And for most like for most people it's not something that's super attractive. For the really strong guys and so on, it can be quite attractive and funny for them. And then there's War of Kingdoms, which is a monthly event that happens around the first or second Sunday in every month, which puts two kingdoms against each other in an attempt to see who can win. And they've recently added different kind of buffs to it. So in this current one, it's the Lord of Lights KVK, so we get an increased amount of merit and battle tokens, bravery tokens, and so on. So they change up things and have different kinds of events and so on in the game to try and keep us entertained. And yeah, of course there's different kinds of commanders that you can get, which is also going to be interesting. Each commander has their own unique abilities, to kind of give you an edge in terms of PvP or in terms of other things related to the game, combat bonuses and so on. And there's both Game of Thrones characters inside, as well as their own custom-made characters, which can be unlocked, and that's quite an interesting feat. And the way that you unlock it is in the Weirwood Memories or Weirwood Trees, and you basically advance through several campaigns where you try to fight your way through it. And in the end you will get rewarded with your own commanders or commander medals and so on, which will give you some other advantages or can help you improve your commanders to a higher level. There's of course also a lot of other things to look at, and this here is only the city panel. There's of course also a in-game shop, and it's like you don't have to pay a lot in this game to actually be able to do things and so on. You can pay or play with being free or with being a low spender, but you just have to play very smartly and know when you can take your battles and when you can't, and how you can support your team or your alliance. And there are of course people that are extremely strong in this game, which have paid a lot of money for it, and those are difficult to tackle and handle, but there are like we will have a couple of guides and tips and so on later on in the series that will explain how to make your risk as small as possible for that matter. But it can be a little bit rough to come into when you're starting it right now. I've almost played for 2 years, and I started out my first year basically doing a lot of random stuff. I didn't know what to focus on, and it really slowed down my progress. So the main reason for why I'm making this series is also to help new people that come into the game, or people that just need guidance to improve and see what to do, and what should be done and what can't be done, or what shouldn't be done, or avoided, and basically being traps and such. So there's going to be like a lot of different things, and if it becomes really popular or interesting, I'm going to also have some discussion regarding maybe stories about people inside the game, or random things or fun things that could be interesting to do. So yeah, and of course, like this is only like a quick look over at this game, what it has to offer and so on, because there's a lot this game has, and it will take an entire hour, if not more, to explain it in detail what happens and so on. But one thing we can show you fast is also that you have the potential to get several dragons. There's a smaller dragon right now here, level 30, that's out exploring for me. And then there's the first dragon that I have, the old one, which for some reason doesn't want to load in right now, but you can see it in the overview, how it loaded in there, how it's flying around. And there's also a third dragon, which is mostly a payment dragon. Most people that pay for the game can have the dragon, and it's a little bit expensive, but that's also it has its own benefits, and we are also going to look over those things later on. So we'll look at that. Right now you can see here there's a rally going, which is basically against a dragon to get dragon essence, and it's not something that's super uncommon or super bad to do, but there are also certain things that you have to keep in mind when you're doing that. But let's jump out of the city view and let's look at the general map and how it looks like outside of the game, or outside of the city, so you can get an idea of how the strategy system is basically applying to this game. Once we get through the loading screen, we can continue on, of course. But in general, the game is really interesting. It relies heavily on the social aspects. I would probably say the social aspects is what makes the game really fun, when you're grouped together in an alliance and tackle on the different events or tasks that are at hand and try to get the best out of your members, like we do in Alliance Conquest right now, where we are fighting other alliances in an attempt to see who is basically the strongest in each of their own leagues. And that in its own is not something that's terrible or bad or anything like that. But of course it still needs some ironing out, but it's starting to work out. And after this season, most people should be able to be placed in whatever category they belong in, and hopefully it's going to go well. So yeah, you can see here we have a bunch of hives or a bunch of castles grouped together, all in the alliance together. There are rebels that you can attack with your commanders. They drop items which will be used for equipment crafting and so on. I'll also get into that later on in a different video. You can gather resources outside of your city as well. Hit rebel groups, which give you also special materials for a special type of equipment. Gives you speed ups or healing and so on, diamonds. And then there are also the castles or camps, which gives you dragon essence or fire essence and other rewards connected to that. And as you can see, you have to be at least 2 lords, so it's only something that can be done when you're in an alliance. And I would strongly recommend people that come into this game to go into an alliance and group up together and become stronger that way, because alliances has a huge benefit in this game and really drives it home for you if you want to really progress in this game. And you can see here the alliance I'm in here quickly. You get alliance gifts, which basically gives you item speed ups and so on as well, which helps you progress in the game, grow stronger and so on. There are alliance events where you have alliance bosses that you have to take down, and there's also an alliance shop where you can buy things for the alliance coins that you get and other things. So it's quite an interesting setup they have here, and there's a lot of content to cover. There are, in the kingdom there are like great castles, and in our kingdom we have different alliances holding each of their castle, which gives their own benefits. The one that our alliance holds, or the alliance that I'm in, is called High Garden. As you can see, there are like some popular landmarks from Game of Thrones as well inside. And this one gives 10% total health to all alliance members that are inside the alliance, of course. And it helps us in terms of combat stats and other things. There's also a kingdom map. You can see here we are I'm located like quite in the middle of the map. Not really. Quite at the bottom left map, sorry. And there's Sunspear at the bottom. There is Castle Black, Winterfell, King's Landing, and so on, which is taken by each alliance and spaced out on a map, so to make it more sustainable for people to actually survive and create a sort of combination of social aspect and competitive aspect in this game. There are of course some alliances and some rulers in each kingdom that just wants to burn everything, and others that try to live in harmony and promote growth, and that's whatever type of gameplay you're into, I suppose. There's the world map, which shows basically all the active kingdoms that are in the game currently. I believe if you just recently start the game, you will be placed in one of the kingdoms that are still under protection, which will be like 225, 26, 227, and so on. And you can see like the protection timer on side at the bottom here, and They are still adding new kingdoms a lot of the time. Some of the other kingdoms have died down or slowed down, but it's not a terrible thing in that aspect. But of course, it's also possible to transfer between kingdoms, but for that you will need an item called transnational relocation, relocator here, and basically it allows you to jump kingdoms. Of course, it doesn't mean that someone super strong can jump into a new kingdom and take them over, because the stronger you are, the more expensive it probably will be, like compared to those that are in the new kingdom. It'll be for you to move. So there's an attempt at making a balancing system in place for making it possible for weaker accounts to grow up and get stronger, so you won't get destroyed. And it's also possible, like you can see, some of us have bubbles on, so you have that protection system as well. And the bubbles basically work in a way that it completely protects you from attacks, and you can't attack anything in exchange either. But there are different options, like you can go for 4 hours, 8 hours, 24, 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, and so on. And that's like a defensive mechanism to try and stall out if something happens, like someone super strong comes into your kingdom and overtakes it. Then you can at least hide under your bubble until you maybe find a more suitable place to go to, or a different location, or a good time to attack. And yeah, so there's plenty of things that you can do in this game, and it's going to be explained over the course of the next few weeks what's going to happen in this game. I have plenty of guides and ideas what I can do with, and like I said, this entire idea with this is just to help people grow and not make the same mistakes as I did at the start of the game, and to bring some fun to the community and interesting things to talk about, I suppose, as well. So yeah, that was all for me for this time, and I would like to hope that you would like to subscribe, like the video, or comment on it. And of course, I'm also accepting comments on what type of guides or things I could do for the future as well, which of course it's interesting to hear from you guys as well. So please do that. I will leave the links in the description for the Discord group for Game of Thrones, the actual Discord group, game Discord group. I will leave one for the game itself as well, in case you want to play. Of course, like I said, it's also in Steam, so you can also look it up on Steam if you want to, or just look up the GTA Arcade app as well, because it also has other games inside there. I believe League of Angels and so on is also included in those games in the app. And of course, you can also play it just in the browser. So I'll leave the link for that. I'll also leave the link for the music used in the video, or at least the one that has created it. He has a ton of great music. Shout out to him, and he's super awesome and letting us use the music for all of us at once. And he's just a great guy. So, or they are actually, all of them just great. So yeah, this was it for this time. I'll be back soon with a new update, a new guide, hopefully. And yeah, happy New Year, everyone. Enjoy the game if you want to go join us, and bye.